fonts. I think we looked at the dogs as the fonts, but here's Poor Comic Sans, Helvetica. Another reason why we don't use papyrus. I should see, can you guess what it's going to be based on what you're seeing? Any guesses? Huh? I don't know. Chancery. Impact. How about the cat with the monocle? Yep. Gotham. We have that way up top. Can't even sneak that one by. How about this poor thing? Good call. All right. Okay, I want to mention currency and have you guys just be thinking about this. If anybody has any foreign currency and you want to bring it to show and tell next week, please do. By the way, next week is our last week before spring break already, if you can believe that. March 2nd, we have class. The next week, we don't for a whole week. March 9th through the 13th is spring break. So you can look at old money versus new money. They colorized it. They did some things different. Again, this has to do a lot with not being able to counterfeit money, but kind of particular how all of the number 5s are very stylized, and then you get to the one in the lower right corner that they made so much bigger and bright, and now it's a simple, clean number. Some Danish money. New Zealand, Japanese yen. What do you see in common in general? And not necessarily color, because other money is a bit more colorful, but what are some common features?
Usually have the price in the corners.
Yep. Yep, the prices are usually in the corners. How about typography? Actually, these are two opposites. So this one up top here at least are using serif type. Elsewhere we see sans serif. Denmark's National Bank, New Zealand is all sans serif. Ecuador, old and new. Is this a big difference?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they were going for with their redesign and their type choices? Yeah, it looks way more modern, doesn't it? Like not. This looks so incredibly old. I mean, what's this guy wearing? That's crazy old. So now they've modernized it. It's cleaner. They use the modern type, sans serif type. Definitely going for a different look, even with their money. Okay, Thailand money, the euro. Anybody ever touch euros or know anything about euros? I had no clue till I was there and touched them and saw them, but they're different sizes in height. Their width is the same, but they're different sizes so that when you put them in your wallet, they stack up. So like the 5s are here and the 10s and the 20s. Smart, right? You can actually find your money in your wallet. Some old money. All right, Canada's old and new money. This is their new money, which looks very much like game money, I think, like Monopoly money or something, but whatever. Different look. So if you have foreign money and you're willing to bring it in just to look at it and share it, just look at the type choices, it's always an interesting day. Okay, let's go with the next chapter, which is on visual hierarchy and why it's important. The order of importance. Yeah, I don't like that version. Never mind. Okay. So hierarchy is all about leading the reader around on the page, on the ad, on the poster to what you want them to see and remember. So It goes from the most important to the least important, typically biggest to smallest, or thickest to thinnest, or something along those lines in the extremes. So you can accomplish this with emphasis, meaning the bolds, reading gravity, and typographic devices. And we're going to look at each one of these. All right, here's two newspapers, front pages. On the USA Today, where does your eye go first? What do you see first? Just yell it out because it can be a little different. The words, the Great Flood of 2011? Maybe the picture, just because it's so big, but then very quickly the words, right? Then where do you go? What words do you read next? This part, right? Okay. Did anybody's eye go to this? No. You know why? Yeah. It's all about hierarchy. The biggest, boldest is where we go first. We tend to not look so much at the masthead because we know that's always going to be there and it's a name and ads or whatever. But then what's next important is typically in the next biggest type. Over here on the Guardian, we have a huge picture with lots of negative space and then a big headline up here. Down here, if you can kind of see, we have 4 columns, well actually we have 5 columns, but there's a line across these 4, which makes us think that these 4 are pseudo-related, and we can tell that this one is still an extension of the column, right? That 5th column. Of these 3 stories, which one is more important? Do we know? They're all equal weight, right? So they're just probably the next top 3 stories that are going to be inside somewhere. So by using, I want to say hieroglyphics. I'm really confused today. Hierarchy, not hieroglyphics. We're not doing cave paintings. All right, emphasis. Making selected elements more prominent than others, just making it feel different, some way, somehow. In your book, I forgot to check this page number. I hope this is right. If it's not, I know where to find it. I'll put this up on the projector if all goes well. It is right, so I can show you, hopefully. Why is the dot cam not working? All right, can't show you, I guess. All right, 190, 191 in your book. On the outside columns, they have the letter A typeset differently. And what makes the one stand out different from the rest? Oh, hey. Oh, hey. In this case, what makes that A stand out? What makes that A stand out? That A. It's smaller, right? All right, how about at the bottom? Which A stands out? The bold one. Which A stands out? A little harder to see on the screen, but the not bold one. How about over here? What's different?
Lowercase.
Yep, lowercase and the uppercase. So by altering their form, their weight, their size, you can draw emphasis to them. Texture and orientation also play into this. All right, reading gravity is the normal way of reading. So in our Western cultures, we read left to right, top to bottom. Okay? In other cultures, they read backwards is how I think of it, but that's not right. They read right to left. Okay? So if our pages were typeset left to right, reading gravity would be pretty bad. We would not get it. We wouldn't try. It'd be way too hard to read, correct? For them, the same holds true. If you reverse the way they're used to, it's going to be very difficult to read. So the normal way of reading is what you have to keep in mind for the culture that you're working with. So readers are twice as likely to read and comprehend a layout that flows according to their reading gravity. I think that could probably be 200 times likely. If it's not what we're used to seeing, what if it's centered and the first 2 lines are 2 words and the next few lines are 16 words and then the next few lines are right, flush right, and then they're flush left? Are you going to want to read or comprehend that? It's not our normal reading gravity. So it's very important that you stick to what people know and expect, which is left to right, top to bottom. Oops. All right, and the third part is typographic devices. So these are things that give hints about information even before you read it. They help show relationships or lack of relationships. So in a magazine spread, we have things like headlines, subheads, pull quotes, tables, sidebars, captions, and lists. I'm assuming none of you can literally read this, whether it's on your screen or way up here. So what do we expect this to be?
Caption.
Yeah, it's a caption talking about this picture or maybe all of these pictures. That's a typographic device. We expect that. What do we expect this is going to do or say? What's the purpose of this ditty right here? Yeah, to catch your interest and suck you in. If this isn't good, are you going to keep reading this article? How many of you would maybe read this, read the captions, look at the pictures, and then decide if you're going to read the article? Probably all of us. All right. What do we think this may be about, or what can we maybe guess about information that would be put here? The lower yellow. What do you guys think? Give me an example of what it could be. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't exactly go with it, but it's important. It's not maybe about this place, but it's about other places in Hawaii. It's maybe about the author. It's maybe about booking a trip to this locale or something like that. It just didn't fit in the actual article. So all of these things are typographic devices that help us understand hierarchy, what's important, what we should read first. All right, Oprah. This is an interesting page. So it's a bunch of little submitted articles, but notice they're all in different fonts, leading, sizes, some different color. But does it look okay to you? Does it look visually pleasing? Can you see how, like, this stands alone, this stands alone? It's not one big article. Okay. We're going to talk later in this class about columns and grids and positioning information within them. So we'll look at this Oprah magazine samples quite a bit. All right. What did they use to make this page unite? What are some things that they did to make this page look good together? Just yell out. There's a bunch and there's not really a right or wrong, so don't be afraid.
Arrows.
The arrows. Where do you see arrows? Oh, right, these things? Yeah, that are pointing at, yes. They're actually pointing at what the thing's about. Yep. What else?
Sections are center aligned.
Yep. So in this one, we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, but in some cases they spanned a couple, so you can kind of see the columns. How about, do you see the color red kind of unifying this layout as well? And they're complementary, or not necessarily complementary, but colors that work well together, that look good together. Over here, we expect this to be a caption. We expect this to be a little ditty that gets us drawn into the article, and these are all really good typographic devices. All right. This is an example of a pull quote, which can really help for a couple of reasons. That needs to be a pretty important statement or something cool or luring the reader into the article. And it also gives us some breathing room, right? If this were all columns of type, it might appear too visually heavy and turn off some people. Does anybody here read or ever see a Rolling Stone magazine? So the first page, there's pictures, and then after you get into the article, it's just text, right? It's column after column. Like, I'm reading it going, this is great, and then I flip the page, and it's 6 columns of all type, and I'm like, which is sad, I know, but it's true. So little things like this, if this were a quote about, you know, Bon Jovi, you'd read it, right? And you'd keep reading the article. So things like this help for a variety of reasons. Again, we're going to talk about columns and grids later in the class, like today later. But notice how this photo didn't literally stay in the confines. It bumped out a little bit, and then the text wrapped around it. That gives some visual interest to the page. Okay, online is a different animal. If I go back to this slide, How many of you have still seen, and I don't know, I assume they're out there, newspaper vending machines that have the paper in the front window, right? What you see is this part, right? It's called above the fold because it's folded in half. This is the part you see. This is prime real estate. Yes, once you open it up, if you make the front page and you're down here, you're happy, but this is the big daddy, right? This is above the fold. So in web, what we consider to be above the fold is whatever loads on your screen first without scrolling. Okay, that's the above the fold prime real estate. All right, so text and objects must be easy to read and place them in a way that will guide your viewer. Same reading gravity as in print. We tend to start up at the top left, follow to the right, come down here. This is a little bit weaker, but that's where we go third, and we expect to end at the bottom right of the page. So you have to put things in order of their importance on a mock-up for a website as well. Digitally designing your navigation, you have to keep it simple and effortless to use. The let interactions direct feature experiences. Personalization is a much easier way of thinking about it. I assume everybody's probably been on Amazon at least once, and if you ever look at anything, the next time you come back, it chases you around, and people that bought it like this, and you might like this, and you might like that. They are personalizing the experience. Offer choices. So navigation, where do you want to go? Let them choose. It's not like old school web design where it was, here's our home page, click to enter. Once you're on that page, click the next button. Anybody remember that? That's how it started. It was horrible. Next and previous were your two options. Be clear and give feedback. Thank you for filling out our form. If you've ever filled out a form online or submitted something and there's no screen that pops up and says, thank you, your form is submitted, or it just stays on that screen, don't you get a little nervous? Like, did that happen? Did I buy that? What's going on? So those are some important things. Okay, these are above the fold on web design. Why? I have a sign saying this is bad. Why is it bad? What do you know from design fundamentals that makes that bad?
Contrast.
Contrast. Red on blue? Not good. Not good. This one is an actual website. And I have to think who it is because we looked this up in another one of my classes. I'm going to show you because I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Yep.
Oh my god.
Oh, why?
Yale School of Art. I can't. And let me take you to another page just to show you that it gets better. If I can find their navigation. About the school. Here's about the school. You can get your Master of Fine Arts degree here. This is Yale. Apply to the school. Let's see how much tuition is.
Oh, ew. No.
How to apply scholarships, loans. Where does it just say how much before I have a seizure?
Right.
Okay, gallery.
I think this is graphic design.
So,
No, it's cool.
is this like so artsy that it's cool, it's cutting edge, it makes you
No.
think? What are they going for here? I don't know. This
Not
kills
anything.
me.
Even if I wasn't in these classes, that would still hurt me.
It hurts me tremendously. So there you go. Yale School of Arts in New Haven, Connecticut. And my eyes hurt. So again, to make this readable, they knew that they couldn't just put black type on all these crazy backgrounds, and you just saw the ones that they had. So they put this color block behind that actually goes the length of the text. It's not like a rectangle box, which I think is also pretty hideous and hard to read. But I'm not Yale, so I don't know. Okay, visual hierarchy, helping the reader understand the order of importance so that people read and understand your information. So posters. Page 189 in the textbook is really interesting because it shows how the hierarchy of a poster can really change the message that we see. So here are the 3 posters. Try to get the glare off of that. Notice that they've chosen to accentuate different words, and it kind of gives a different message. So this is one way of the visual hierarchy changing how you read or perceive a message. Exact same words, but we read it a little differently. All right, business cards. Boy, these can be some gems, right? I put up some of the very best. Quick glance, don't study it too hard. What is this business card about? What do you think he does? Don't read it. Dogs. Yeah, wolves, dog slaughter, who knows? Keep reading. What does this guy do?
Software development.
Well, isn't that clear? Software development. How about his tagline? When good is not good enough, call bad. What's bad? Business application developers. Didn't you get that? No? What's wrong with you guys? Okay, how about this gem?
Yeah.
What's going on here that we love? What fonts do you see? Papyrus and it's a twofer. It is clip art. It's horrible. These aren't horrible. They're just not exciting, correct? Here, let's put information in all 4 corners. See what we can do with it. Get it exciting. I have this. Mr. Ed's Santa service. Oh boy. All right, here's an example of just using hierarchy and visual importance to clean up a card. So the company name is Total Health Through Massage, and that's their logo. Then we have the person's name, her address, how to get an appointment, and some things that they do. So by rearranging this, I think it's much cleaner, much easier to see. And if this were a company that had multiple people working here, the part that you could swap out would be this part down here, or at least their name. But everything else is kind of standard. You see the one up here, check out our awesome business card, Johnny Businessman. That's also Papyrus. Wow. All right, this is an interesting example of switching up these words on a business card. And there's a website that goes with this that I will have to manually do. It's for Bob Dylan. Whoops. I think I highlighted the wrong words. Okay, so typical business card design. So we have the name of the company in the center, and then the other elements are the person's name, the email, the phone, and the website. So don't get cornered is the first line of business. So perhaps center aligning it all, and notice they added, or no, they didn't. The little Vespa was part of this too, the little scooter. So hierarchy, priority is the name of the business. Next most important is the person's name because it's a business card. Then they talk about using contrast to switch it up a little bit. So they take the scooter and tone it down quite a bit, use a maybe 10% opacity on it. And world tours, can you see how the word tours is actually bolder, a little thicker? They jazz that up a little bit. Name and position right underneath it, and then the standard, this is, well, not everybody, the email would change, but you get the idea. Going further with contrast, this time they put a bar at the bottom and they reversed out the names. One thing you want to keep in mind, anybody know the dimensions of a business card? 2 inches by 3.5. So you got 3.5 inches down here to get in all of this. If you're going to reverse it out, that's going to get kind of small. So if you're going to do it, you're going to want to use a low contrast serif font that's thick so that it stands out as much as possible. Another version, they put a bar at the top of the card and at the bottom of the card. Here's an idea, go vertical. Switch it up. Rounded corners is a thing. So using some color, they reversed out the icon and the name. Again, most important, business name and then the person's name, especially being the CEO. Using photography is an option. But as far as the emphasis and typographic hierarchy, we're still seeing the same things in play. Another idea is to cut it in half and again reverse out type, and you just have to be very careful about that. All right. Your business card sucks, I believe, last I looked, was either banned from school or gone away. It was great. Businesscardsucks.com. Yeah, that's too bad. It was hilarious. I would like you to, I'm going to give you back your computers. Huh? It might, you can try it, but I think if you have the wireless, the Wi-Fi here, it's still going to be
I'll
blocked.
turn it off.
So, you can look at home. I'm going to give you back your computers, and I want you to do some Google image searches for good business card design and bad business card design, and you're going to find some gems, no doubt.
Can you get it right in there?